How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I want to talk to you today about a stock that I've not bought before today. It's one that I've done a couple videos on in the past. It's been in the limelight a lot. It's an exciting company. It has big contracts with the government. It's been growing revenue very quickly. It already has a lot of revenue right now, over $1 billion last year, and it was a SPAC last year. They just had a huge investment from ARK Invest. I believe it was around $130 million just yesterday. ARK Invest threw in this. And again, this is just one that I really like because it's in around $50 billion right now, the market cap. But it's one that I bought and I just won't have to check up on all the time. It's one that I can sleep easy at night knowing that I have in my portfolio. I don't care if it falls. I don't care if it goes up, because over the long term, I think it's going to do quite well because it's growing pretty quickly. And like I said, it's got some big ties with the government and some other healthcare industry and Fortune 500 companies. So we're going to get into that. But if you guys don't mind, please hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Please hit subscribe. There is a link down there to my Patreon if you want to know exactly when I buy different stocks or when I sell different stocks. We just passed 5,000 members, which was awesome. If you guys want to get in on that, you can check out the link down below. You can talk with other members once you're part of it. Just click the Patreon link down in the description underneath the video. Just hit the show more button and then it'll show it to you. Also, there is a link down there to BlockFi. So I'm going to do a video on something that I think is really interesting with BlockFi this weekend. But if you guys want to get an interest rate on your cryptocurrency and you want to get a bonus for signing up, depending on how much you put in there, you can check out the link down below to BlockFi. There's also a link down there to WeBull if you want some free stock when you sign up. And last thing, Tyler Hill, I just did a video on this, but Tyler Hill's main channel got hacked. I'm going to leave his link down in the description. If you guys want to subscribe to him, definitely check him out. He had to start the second channel. So I've talked about him in the past. He was around 10,000 subs, really good guy and makes really good content. So definitely check out that link too if you're interested. And now the company we're talking about today is Palantir. You can see here on Lucid Tracking that ARK Invest bought $132.7 million yesterday in their ARK-K, their largest portfolio. They bought over 5 million shares in one day, which is significant. And look at the days that we had before this, right? It was $35. They got in at a steal right here. If we look even further back, this stock has traded very expensively in the past, and I think now is actually a pretty good value. Now, of course, today it is up a good amount, but I think it's still a decent value, a good value under $30. And I'll explain why in a second. But if you look over the last 1 month, this is really all-time lows. The reason that it's around this value is because there was a lockup period that ended for employees on Friday or on today. So a lot of people were worried about that. A lot of people were selling off just to make sure that, the employees didn't send the stock down dramatically. But I think a lot of people want to buy in today, seeing that they hadn't really sold off, and that's caused the price to go up. Now, something else that kind of happened recently was the fact that they had Q4 results that were actually pretty good, but not as good as what people expected. So I'll show them here though. I think they're quite impressive. So this just came out a few days ago. They had $1.1 billion in revenue for the full year 2020. Now, this is actually a really significant amount, especially for a company that's a SPAC. This is not like some pie-in-the-sky company. This is a company that's already bringing in billions of dollars, or $1 billion. They had $322 million in revenue for Q4, which puts their run rate right around $1.3 billion. So not as big an increase, I think, as people were expecting, because they already had $1.1 billion and they had $322 million for Q4. They had new contracts though with Rio Tinto, PG&E, BP, the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, FDA, and NHS. They expect Q1 2021 revenue of 45% year over year. Revenue growth of 45% year over year. So a pretty significant amount. They had an average revenue per customer of almost $8 million, which is up 41%, making it just apparent that these clients want to continue working with them, and they're getting bigger and bigger contracts. So either people are adding more and want to work with them more, or they're just getting bigger and bigger clients, either of which are really good to see. And you can see the old revenue per customer here. They had 5.6 million in 2019, now 8 million. They have $77 million of new acquisitions this year and new clients. They have 8 of the Fortune 100, so they're working with 8% of them. You have 12 of the Global 100 and 24 of the Global 300. They signed a 3-year, $44 million deal to expand their partnership with the FDA. They started working with the Air Force last year. They started to work with the U.S. Army, and they got a couple new contracts there. They had $610 million in revenue from government customers. Now their 5-year outlook is to have revenue of about $4 billion or more by 2025. Now at this point, that would make them a price to sales ratio right around 12 based on their price today. Now I realize that this is a high number. I mean, a price to sales ratio of 12 is pretty rich. That's right with a lot of other tech companies. But this is a pretty high margin business. I think if they hit $4 billion worth of revenue by 2025, a lot of people will be interested because it's going to be a global player. I don't think it's going to sit around, $28, $29 a share for 5 years. I think as they get more contracts, people will get more excited. They will continue to be growing revenue. I mean, at that point, they would still be growing pretty quickly, growing their revenue. So it is going to take a while, but I think this company is going to be a dominant player, especially with all the contracts that they're getting. They are just a company that seems pretty much unparalleled in this space. And I've talked about some other companies that were like the Palantirs of their fields, but data analytics is only going to become more prevalent. If you're a company that is well trusted, well thought of, I think that's only going to be good for them and set the barrier higher and higher for everyone else trying to gain entry into this field, into this sector. And again, I just think this is a company that you can sleep easy at night. I think this could be a 20 price to sales ratio when they're getting $4 billion worth of revenue. And if they overshoot that, let's say they hit $5 billion and they're a 20 price to sales ratio, which I think could happen because they're going to continue to grow pretty quickly, grow revenues. I think that they will pretty much double then in 5 years, which is a really good rate of return. And I'm not saying that they could only do that because who knows, especially depending on where the market is. You never know what companies could be doing. Now, I personally bought shares today. I might buy more if it stays around this level later in the day. I might buy more if it falls. I don't imagine it falling much more because a lot of the stuff that people were worried about, it's cleared up now. So I could see it jumping back up to the low 30s probably next week. But of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a stock analyst. Do your research, do your own research. But that's just my opinion. Now, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what you think about Palantir down below. I find it really interesting that ARK Invest bought so much and they timed it almost perfectly. I mean, they bought it right at the low. They bought it at $25.17. That was the closing price at least. So awesome job by them. I'm glad that I have ARK in my portfolio too. So I was able to get, I guess, a little exposure to Palantir, a very small amount. But again, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Thank you guys. Thank you for checking out Tyler's channel and checking out my Patreon and everything else down there that I talked about, WeBull, BlockFi. And I will see you guys in the next video. If you want to see a video that I did yesterday on a stock that I'm buying, you can check out this video here. Thanks.